All right, so I'm going to talk about Binary.com. And I'll tell you, it's funny how we've gone full circle, because the founder of Binary actually spoke here in 2003, a very good friend of mine, and also a very good friend of Jim Mellon. So Binary was started in around 1999, actually, but they say 2000. I actually started trading with them in 2000. So let me give you a little bit of history. It used to be called Bet on Markets before. And Jean-Yves Sereau, who was a hedge fund manager based in Hong Kong, he started this up. He wrote the code. He was basically the first person to bring binary options to the public. And before, binary had been used a lot in banks. When I first traded in foreign exchange, in about the second bank I worked for was an American bank called Irving Trust. They were doing binary options, or what are called box options. And these were OTC, something called over-the-counter. And it's very hard for the private individual to do these type of options. So Jean-Yves, being Jean-Yves, said, well, I think the private individual should be able to do it. And he started coding all the code, and that's how XODS started. XODS became Bet on Markets, Bet on Markets became Binary.com. Jim Mellon was the first investor. He's no longer in it, but or he's got a small part of it. But it was Jim Mellon's money that was used to set up Bet on Markets. So I first started, as I say, binary options in about 2000. Jean-Yves spoke here in 2003. It's a highly regulated company. Just to be clear, there has been a lot of bad press about binary options. Not Binary.com, binary options. These are normally companies that are based in Israel. They have a Cyprus link to them. They use hard pressure cold calling. They don't do any of that. Binary is the clean business. The other thing is, and Trevor Kidd, who's here, I know Trevor's had plenty of payouts. I've had over £100,000 paid out with no questions asked from Binary. Had that been another company, it would have been very hard to get your money out. They're regulated in Malta by the MFSA. They're licensed in Isle of Man, Costa Rica, and Japan. And again, Jim Mellon, who's going to come earlier, who some of you know is in the Times Rich list, Jim would have no association with a company that was crooked. As I say, it's the only ethical company that I know, and I say they don't do cold calling. The platform has had its ups and downs, but it's now on an up. You know, it's very easy for us sometimes to think, oh, why doesn't that work? Why doesn't this work? Some of these codes are so complicated to make, you know, if you say, right, I want to place a trade that the FTSE 100 is going to stay between 6,500 and 7,000 for the next 7 days. A lot of people can't code that. It's very, very hard to do the coding for that. Anyway, the platform's in a really, really good place. It's also now what's called open source. And this is actually an opportunity for you as well. So the platform's in 13 languages. They trade currencies, stocks, indices, commodities. Not as big a choice as IG, but if you remember what I said yesterday, most customers only trade 10 markets anyway. So their view is, let's just trade the markets that the customers actually want, rather than just throw everything on the platform. You can do, obviously, profit from up and down markets, but you can also profit from sideways markets, which again, is quite novel to many people. You can do trades from 10 seconds to a year. So you can trade short-term or long-term. Now, there's some good opportunities, especially some of you that speak second languages, have any connections to China, Indonesia, for partnering, because it's what's called API, it's open source. So how Binary don't really advertise, they don't really promote. They provide the platform. And the way that they get their business is through referrals, through affiliate commission, and through people like us talking about them. But this also gives you a chance to actually, if you're interested in going that way, to develop things and actually promote Binary. But not even promote Binary, you can actually start your own business using their platform. But that's another discussion, but there's some interesting opportunities, I just want to get them in your head. API basically means that their whole website is open source. So it can be white labeled, it can be changed, it can be developed as you wish. They are the only company that I know that trade every day. So right now is Saturday, you can still trade through Binary because they have their own indices. They have something called synthetics. So synthetics trade 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's always a trade that can be made on there. And as I say, what I love and what attracted me first to binary was the little guy can start with $20. And just to be clear, unlike spread betting, binary is, as the word says, I'll show you a little video in a second, binary is fixed. So let me play you a little video, and then you'll see the appeal, why it's been so popular.
Welcome to Binary.com. Since 2000, we've been a true pioneer in the binary options trading industry with a flexible, award-winning platform, fully licensed, safe and secure business practices, and exclusive patented pricing technology, hosting over $2 billion in trades to date. But what is binary options trading? It's a special type of online trading with a fixed payout, in which you predict the outcome from two possible results. The word binary in binary options trading comes from the choice of two potential outcomes in a perfectly clear-cut, dual-sided scenario. For example, will the price of gold trade higher than the spot price in 15 days? No matter how you slice this scenario, there are only two outcomes possible. Yes, it will trade higher, or no, it will trade lower. Let's just say that you take the position that it'll trade higher and decide to purchase this option. If your prediction is correct at the end of the set period, you'll receive a payout that was determined at the start of the trade. Note that this amount is automatically calculated and reported to you through Binary.com's pricing technology before you even press the button to purchase this trade. If your prediction is incorrect at the end of the set period, you'll only lose your initial stake and no more. Note that the stake is equal to the amount that you initially pay to purchase the trade, so there are absolutely no surprises. Thus, as you can see, binary options trading is a very easy form of online trading with entirely predictable outcomes. With Binary.com, you know exactly what you stand to gain or lose before purchasing each and every trade. There are never any hidden fees or commission. What you see is precisely what you get. And you can jump in and start trading with as little as $1. So what are you waiting for? Let's get started. Binary.com. Trusted by traders since 2000.
So where this has been really, really popular is especially places like Indonesia and the Far East, because to us, like $200 might not seem like a large amount of money. To some of these guys, $200 is a month's pay. So that's why these have been very, very popular in countries. So let me run through it and give you an idea of how a binary trade works. So if we take here the GBP USD, very liquid market, 127.96 is the spot, which is right up there at the top. Okay, it's very easy language. Duration, 4 days, 5 days, as low as 1 minute. What's the payout? How much do you want to win? 1,000, that could be £10. As I say, some of these guys out in the Far East, they trade for $10. Okay, and as soon as you do that, it will automatically price the option for you. So if you think it's going to be higher than that price, you purchase that one. If you think lower, you purchase this one. You see the returns are roughly the same. So 82% will be your return, 88% on the lower. Now it's not the stake plus back. I know some of you may be used to sports betting. It's not like that. So it's 1,000 is total. So your profit, your net profit, is 452 on a stake of 547. So you get 1,000 back in total. Let's give you another example. What we've got here, and this is very, very complicated to trade for you to actually program. Very easy to place the trade. So this is what the classic box trade. So if you imagine a box, very good when something's going sideways in a range. Okay, because as you know, a lot of our money we make from trends, and that's why I got interested in bet on markets as it was on the time. So again, we've got euro dollar, currently trading at 107. What we're saying, in the next 15 days, the top of the range is 11, well, it's 110, okay? The lower barrier is 104, and we can either say it's going to stay between that range or it's going to go out. So as long as it stays between that range for 15 days, you will win. If it obviously goes out, you lose. If your trade goes out, then you would win. Okay, ends means it doesn't matter if it goes out during the time, it's where it ends. Stays means if it just touches one time, the trade will either pay out or it will lose. Okay, so that's what the difference between those two are. But you can start up a virtual account and you can practice trade. Now this, to some of you think, oh, that's quite simple. Try doing that in an options. I challenge anyone to try working the same trade out in currency options. You'd have to use puts and calls, and the other beauty of this system, you cannot lose more than the stake. You can also sell the trade back as well. So if, for instance, the trade's either going your way or it's not going your way, you can cash it in most cases. However, because it's like an option, the premium is the most we can lose. So do you remember when all the Swiss franc thing kicked off and I showed you that teacher that lost 250 grand? Had he been using binary, the most that would have happened if you'd got it totally wrong is your stake. You cannot lose more. There's no margin calls as long as you're using these fixed odds. This is, again, a touch or a no touch. So again, I've just used 15 days. I've used the pound against the yen. So it either touches or does not touch. Now, the reason why that's paying 11.2, which is a relatively low payout, still 11%, is because that's a very likely event it's going to happen. Does not touch is paying 300%, is very likely that it's not going to, that actually won't. So it's an outsider, basically. That's the easiest way to put it. Of course, though, outside events happen. Now, I think, Chris, you'll find this interesting if you delve deeper into it, because some of the strategies that you're looking at, you might actually find this. But the nice thing about this, you can try it all with a virtual account. You don't need to put real money down. Now, the other thing they've got, and we haven't really touched on it much yet, and some of you know when I got interviewed by Alex, I was telling you more about artificial intelligence. I haven't delved deep into it yet, but you're aware more and more people now don't place the trades. So, for instance, take Chris's system or take a 21-6 system. Instead of you put the rules into the system and it will just automatically trade based on your rules. So every time the cross happens, it opens the trade automatically. Every time the cross happens, it will close the trade. So you no longer have to trade. Now, it's a bit like a driverless car. For some people, it's like, oh my God, I'm not getting a driverless car. Now, it's still your rules, but bot trading is becoming more and more popular. And again, it's interesting. When I was out in the Far East, they were really sort of pioneering this. But they've got a little program where you can create your own bot. But again, if you go to binary.com in the shop, you can do that. Now, this was, I'm not promoting this, by the way, but this is a bot software. So do you remember what I said? Their system is API. So you've got binary sitting here, which is like the bank. If you imagine binary is the clearer, you can write your own software that works with that binary clearer. Or, if you're not that way inclined, you can buy a package from somebody else. And I'm not promoting this guy, but I just want to show you what a bot is like. So can you see where it says simple moving average? It's got 14, Bollinger Band, simple moving average 2. So this is their system. Then what they've got, this bit here, and that's a virtual account, what they've got, this bit here is calling the binary computer. And again, this is all done in milliseconds. So here is your trading system, here is the binary system. And if you've ever done FTP or uploaded a website, you probably recognize this type of thing. For those that are not programmers, don't worry. Programmers are 2 to a penny. Or you can buy software, especially like in the Far East. Some of these kids are so talented and they will work for like a couple of $100. So if you look here, this is the binary side, and what it's doing, when this has a trade to make, you don't make it. It says, right, trade to make, and then it calls the binary system, boom, does the trade for you. And then you just come in the morning and you'll check the trades it's made. But it's still your rules. So it's not somebody making the trades nilly-willy. It's still, you put the parameters in, the system just does it. Now, what a lot of guys do, especially where they've got bad internet connections, they use what are called virtual computers. So this actually sits on a remote computer. It doesn't sit on yours. But just in case, because people say, well, what happens if my computer goes down or something like that? Well, most of the time, these systems actually sit on a remote computer. But I just want to get you thinking a little bit of something new, something we've never ever talked about. Not that I've been anti, I think I've just almost like wanted to be proven. And I am seeing more and more now algorithmic trading. And if you think about it, the systems that we do, they are very mathematical. They can be programmed. And now we're starting to see more and more people taking my systems and then actually putting them in and just letting them run. So what we're doing is we're taking away the need for you to actually watch the screen. At the same time, it's still a controlled environment. I don't want anybody putting loads of trades on my account. It's only you that are controlling that. And if at any time you can press stop and the computer will stop. It won't just keep trading away. Now be careful, because of some of those dodgy brokers, what they do, you put the money in your account, they're trading it for you, they're running all these random numbers, and their ultimate job is just to run your account down to zero. So they're the baddies as such. But these are, say, some of the software providers, and you can, if you go to binary.com, there's a shop. You will also find this little ebook written by my good self, which is about foreign exchange trading, and I've been featured a lot about binary. And as I say, I'm not being sponsored, I'm not being paid to talk about it. I'm just showing you something that I'm involved in, and I'm very fired up about it, because I think this is almost the next step on now, where we almost make ourselves a little bit redundant. So once we know the rules system, we get the computer to trade it.